We're live, yeah. Hey man, it's the Lots of Laughs comedy show. I'm your host Dennis Wirth. Episode 41, rolling right along, November 26, 2019. As always, Funny Like a Clown podcast is brought to you by G Vegas Buffalo Sauce for the spicy, sweet, savory taste of game time. There's only one G Vegas available at www.gvegas.webs.com. And today we're going to be discussing another big comedian like myself, Gabriel Iglesias. And to do that, I have on the phone the Princess Goddess herself from New Hampshire, Alana Foden. Alana, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Dennis.
Well, thank you for being on. How's life treating you up there in New Hampshire?
Really pretty fantastic.
Fantastic. Are you babysitting? I hear some kids over there or something.
Yeah, those are my bonus boys.
Okay. Is it ice cream time? I hear spoons going around.
I'm pouring myself a glass of wine.
Oh, okay. Well, you're like the fluffy guy, right? But
yeah.
I asked you to choose what comedian that you wanted to review, and you chose Gabriel Iglesias. What made you choose him?
He's one of my favorites. You know, I have a long commute in and out of work, and I enjoy listening to the comedy podcast. And without even being able to see him, because I'm driving, he makes me laugh out loud.
Right. He's just a regular funny. Some people are naturally funny, and some people got a routine that's funny, and he's just a naturally funny guy.
He's got a lot going for him. It's not just that. He also does the voices.
Right.
He's smart. He's very familiar with the audience. You feel really comfortable with him. He also throws in some educational little facts. Like one of his performances that I heard in Hawaii,
yep.
He made it local for the Hawaiians to enjoy, and he educated the rest of the world. So it was enjoyable to listen to.
That's a win-win right there. Do you have a favorite saying or routine or anything that he does? Or a show or anything?
I would love to go see him live. I haven't.
That was my next question. If you had seen him live, okay. So that's on your bucket list, is to see him live, right?
Oh God, I would love that. Yeah, I know I think he was scheduled to play in the Boston area.
Yeah, he used to play down in Chicopee, I know, at the Hoogie Lau years ago. They closed that comedy room down, but I saw Pauly Shore down there, and I saw her on when I was watching Pauly, I saw the big billboard he was coming, but yeah, he must play up in Boston somewhere, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Do it now, because who was it? On the same bill, Don Rickles and Joan Rivers came to Foxwoods, and I was so close to going, and I was busy, and I said, you know what, I'll catch them next time around. My dumb ass not realizing at their age there wouldn't be next time. They both ended up passing away, and I never got to see either one of them, so. Make the time, yeah. Right? That's what you gotta do.
Yeah. Well, I think Gabriel will be around for hopefully a lot longer.
Well, hopefully. He did have some health issues from being a big guy, which I can relate to, but let's go to the beginning here. He grew up in Long Beach, California, living in Section 8 housing with a single mom. And, I don't know if you grew up in a low-income, a middle-income, or a high-income, but I was in a low-income house, and I know you got a whole different, look on life when you grow up in apartment buildings rather than big fancy houses,
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine.
And let's see, in 1997, he worked for a cell phone company, and he quit to do full-time stand-up comedy, and he ended up losing his house and his car over it, which, we're lucky, because comedy's such a mecca nowadays where you can do it part-time and drive down the street, to do comedy, where back in the day, you had to quit your drive out to New York or L.A. to do it full-time if you wanted to try it.
Yeah, that's true.
But so we have it easy, us doing comedy. But I mean, these guys, if you really want to go for it, I guess you got to go at it full time. And his famous line was, "I'm not fat, I'm fluffy." That's what he's known for. And do you remember his 5 levels of being big or no?
I know that there's no. Go ahead, name it off for me, because
on the tip of your tongue, right? It's big, healthy, husky, fluffy, and damn. And then later on, he added a 6th one. He put, "Oh hell no!" That was his 6th level of being big.
That's right.
I remember he said he did that because some guy was at his show asking for a T-shirt, and he's like, "You don't have a 9X." Why don't? He's like, "Dude, I didn't know they made a 9X." He had no idea people got that big. So I guess that was his hell no moment he didn't want to have. But
yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff, like I said, he's known for the voices that he has, boom, boom on stage, all the voices and stuff, but,
yeah, and the car and truck he can do a lot of impersonations, and he truly does sound like a girl.
Yeah, that's part of his act that he's known for. I mean, being the fluffy guy and doing all the voice overtures. But 2000, he was on Nickelodeon's sketch comedy All That, which I haven't watched Nickelodeon since my kid grew up, but I know that's one of the bigger television networks for the children.
Yeah.
Which shows he works clean. He chose to work clean, not dirty, and you definitely, as you know, you get a lot more work working clean than you do working dirty, right?
It's true.
Being in the business. Let's see. In 2007, he voiced an entire Mexican family on Family Guy. Are you a fan of Family Guy, or?
No.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I mean, not that I'm not a fan. It's that I just don't watch a lot of TV.
TV and stuff. Yeah, I don't get into the cartoons, the Simpsons and all that. I always thought cartoons were okay. I loved them as a kid, but once I grew up, I was done with the cartoon thing. But like I say, the Flintstones.
If you showed me a Scooby-Dooby cartoon, I'd probably watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, I know what they said where he voiced the entire family, which means there was a entire. I remember Eddie Murphy did characters, multiple characters in some of his movies there, where he was sitting around a table and each character he was the person and the camera shot shooting like it was different people sitting at the table, but he was all of them, except for a little boy. But
that's awesome.
You ever thought of doing multiple characters?
Absolutely. I think that would be enjoyable. In fact, one New Year's Eve, I created, wrote, and directed and performed in a murder mystery. And literally 2 days before, one of our cast members couldn't do it. She had the flu. So I rewrote it in a hurry and played twins that night.
That was a smart way to get around it, see? So
it was the only way to get around
it.
There you
go. You filled in for yourself. That was the way. Well, I actually did. You were on my show, The Comedy Kitchen, and for episode 50, I do a character in comedy called the Child Support Superhero, and I had him on as a guest, the Child Support Superhero, me, and I got forever.
Awesome.
Do you got a twin brother? It was all green screen. It was me playing both people, but
I love it.
It was a lot of work, but I got a lot of compliment. I mean, I guess I fooled people. Everybody thought I had a twin brother, which I didn't. It was me, but it was funny. Let's see.
Awesome.
That same year, he voiced the show Twins for Disney, doing some voiceover work. So, I mean, if you're working with Disney, that's like the top of your game right there. I don't know a company bigger than Disney if you're a comedian, right?
Right. Well, I think I feel that way, except for that he went to, was it Pakistan? And he was hired by a prince.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story. Yeah. Well, what did you hear about it?
No, Saudi Arabia. Sorry.
What did you hear about the story?
And, what he said was at first that his agent called him and said, hey, would you go? And he said, give them an exorbitant, price tag and tell them that I need the money wired within 24 hours. And his agent called him back within the hour, and he checked his account, and it was there,
Ridiculous just called, he said.
Yeah, but he goes, you go to the airport and you have to sign like a waiver that says, you're going into this country, and then they list all the reasons.
That's the truth. Where if they, if you go over there and they take you prisoner, America can't get you back. You have to sign a waiver saying, there's no way they can get you back. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. So
you walk off the plane and say you're a slave. That's it. You're stuck there. So.
Yeah, and I like that he takes like real life experiences, makes them comedic, but clean and also educational.
Well, it's part of the reason that he brought him over there. The prince said that he told him, you go back and you tell people through comedy that we're not all bad, we're not all terrorists over here. There's some good people over here, So that was educational for him too, And
yeah, and he's one of the comedians that truly speaks his truth, which is that we are all connected.
Sure.
Each of us need all of us, and all of us need each of us. And he keeps that message. And sometimes comedians have a great platform, and they don't always represent as best they could,
Sure. He was saying on the cab ride over, the cabbie's like, do you have any questions? He's like, well, I don't want to sound rude or ignorant or disrespectful. The cabbie's like, no, whatever you want, ask. He's like, well, how do you guys know about me? Do you got HBO over here or something? And he's like, well, it was YouTube off the internet was how they all knew him, but...
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it really made a connection, which, not a lot of people get to experience at that level, so that was cool. Now, this was the big one for me, because I remember I've watched a few seasons of this, and most I haven't, but 2006, he was on Last Comic Standing, and he made the final 8 contestants. Do you remember him on what? Did you watch that season or no?
No.
I watched that one, and I watched the season Tom Carter was on there, but he was disqualified for using a BlackBerry cell phone to text his family, which is against the rules at the time, and they actually threw him off the show for it. Now, can you imagine making the final 8 of Last Comic Standing and being thrown off the show for you using? I mean, I remember they approached him. They said, it's not something we want to do. It's not something we're happy about doing, but you broke the rules, and we have to, remove you from the show. And he said he understood, but it was like the advertisement he got from being thrown off the show, I think, was better than if he'd actually won it. I think he got more advertisement from that,
Isn't it like that? Like a door shuts and a window opens.
Yeah, well, I was reminded of when Andrew Dice Clay was on MTV and he started swearing. I mean, the advertisement he got for being banned for life from MTV was way bigger than anything. You couldn't have paid for that kind of advertisement,
Right.
So, I mean, he just, he got more advertisement than that, I think, because Josh Blue ended up winning that season, which he's a funny comedian, too, but, I mean, he's not half as popular as Fluffy,
No, I agree. But I do like Josh Blue.
I remember Josh Blue, and then the final episode, I think that was how he won, was he was on stage doing his set. Right in the middle, he pulls out his cell phone. He's like, "Give me 1 second. Hello?" He's like, "Gabriel, stop calling me." He acted like Gabriel was calling him during the finals. I said that won it for him right there. The crowd just erupted in laughter. It was perfect.
Wow.
Made fun of the situation.
Yes.
That's genius right there.
Hey, Dennis, that's an incredible callback.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
No pun intended, right?
Total pun intended.
So let's see.
That is awesome.
In 2011, he started his own show on Comedy Central called Stand Up Revolution, which lasted 3 seasons. Did you ever watch any of that, or?
I honestly don't watch much TV.
Much TV, yeah. I did back then. I seen a couple of episodes, and I don't know, for whatever reason, you think as big a name as Gabriel is, it would have lasted more than 3 seasons, but even Jeff Dunham, as big as he is, he had on a TV show on Comedy Central, and I think it lasted 15 or 16 episodes, but I guess people want to see him do stand-up, not shows, I guess. I'm not sure what the reason is.
Interesting. God bless you.
Thank you. You never know. I don't have a sneeze button here on the podcast, so we just sneeze. Hey, that's all it is. Let's see. In 2012, he played a DJ and drug dealer in the movie Magic Mike. Did you see the movie?
Yes.
Movie guy, or I don't know.
Okay, I definitely saw that movie.
You saw Magic
now
Mike?
When I watch it again, I'm going to look for him because of his comedy bit about being in it.
Okay, so you don't remember him being in it, or?
No, honey, I wasn't looking at the DJ.
That was the main reason I watched it. I wasn't really interested in a movie about male strippers. When I saw it, I'm like, all right, if Fluffy's in it, I gotta watch it. But he took on a more serious role in the thing than more a comedic role. But he really did good. And it was funny. He said that his manager set up the casting interview, and he said he didn't like to do movies because they're so brutal too. They treat you like shit. And he said he went in there, and they're like, we've always thought about you for this role. If you showed up and wanted it, it was yours. So they didn't even interview him or nothing. So he said he got out to his car, and his manager called. He's like, "Dude, you nailed that casting. I don't know what you did." It's like he didn't do nothing. He just got it by walking in. It was. So that's what happens when you're big in comedy. You get a much bigger window than the people who are struggling to make it. But we see that on the local level too, don't you?
Look at the dedication, though. I mean, literally, he quit his job and
he paid his dues.
2 years.
Now, you see a lot of the young comics don't get that you have to pay your dues. I mean, everybody wants to start at the top. Do you get a lot of that?
Well, no. I feel like, and I've always felt like, you get out what you put in. So if you put a lot in and you continually, like a savings account, you keep building your bank, the one day you have to make a major withdrawal,
right.
You're ready. And you know who that quote is from? That is Sully, the gentleman who, the
airplane,
the plane in the Hudson River.
In the Hudson, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you, you book shows up in New Hampshire, and I book, shows down here, and we've both had several rooms, and you have some rooms that are bigger than others, then you have some rooms that are small bar rooms. I mean, have you ever had a young comic, they don't want to start out in your small bar room, they want to be right in your big room, and they're not ready, and they don't realize that?
Yeah, they're also different, I find. And honestly, I just wish I had more time to invest with them, like time
A
to
lot of
invest
they
with
don't
them.
want to pay their dues, you know. They think they start right at the. Nobody
Oh, I don't
realizes that
find that at all.
nowadays.
Oh,
No.
you know what? Which, not to be gender specific,
Yeah.
but I do find that the women starting out in comedy are more humble.
Yeah.
They're more open to feedback. The young men, maybe not as much.
That's in life too,
And
not just comedy. I mean, yeah, they're more of
yeah, I
a.
mean, well, but I'm not sexist really. I just something that I've noticed. And also, by far, when I do my all-female lineup shows, whether they're brand new or not,
Yeah.
like everybody brings their best, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, and so when it comes to new comics, I haven't found that. I haven't found that at all. But the ones who I get introduced to, Kathy Ferris is a great resource for me through Boston Comedy Chicks. So I think she only sends me new people that are hungry, that are wanting to
Right.
work their craft, and
The
they want
best
to
of the
be in a
best,
good,
right? You know, you don't send down the.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they want to be in a good solid room, because my rooms are good solid rooms. You know, Fody's Tavern I started in 2006, then passed the torch to Greg Bogus, and now him and I are doing it together, which is a wonderful collaboration. And Soho, I think we're going into our 7th year now, and our audiences are just getting bigger and bigger. And on a Thursday night, to have a full room is just fantastic.
Well, that's how it is. I mean, if I was going to recommend someone to you, I would want it to be somebody who's ready. I'm sure if you wanted to recommend somebody to me, you wouldn't send me a knucklehead. You know, I mean, people want to send the
Oh,
people who've earned the,
exactly.
earned their
Yeah.
due. You know.
Each of us need all of us, and all of us need each of us.
That's right.
And the new comics, like I just tell them, you can't do the C word. I don't like it. And then, cancer's never funny unless you
No
have it.
disease is funny unless you have it, right? What is it? Race, religion, and
Yeah.
disease. You don't make fun of those are the big three
And
unless you got them.
if you're gross, don't be gross,
Yeah,
because
don't ruin your
the
room. Don't
laughter
ruin
you're
what you
hearing
work
is
for, right?
awkwardness.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, you're not tickling their humor bone.
Well, that's
You're
why you
making it
like Fluffy,
awkward.
right? Because he keeps it clean and he keeps it, there's nothing grotesque about him, right?
And that's one of the other reasons I admire his comedy, because he does real life situations. He throws in some education. He's got the gift of gab, I call it, where it
Right.
just seems like he's socially, intimately kind of conversing with you, and he can do all the voices and the characters. Um, yeah, so I enjoy his comedy probably the most. He gets my like.
Well, I see what else he did. In 2013, he voiced Ned and Zed in Disney's Planes, which I guess that was a cartoon movie, I assume, Planes.
Yes.
2014,
Yep.
he did The Nut Job, and in 2016, El Americano. And, Disney, I think back to, Gilbert, he played a parrot. I forget what movie he played the parrot in, but he voiced the parrot. And Robin Williams, I
Oh,
remember he was a genie.
yes, yes.
So I mean, if you're a clean comic, I mean, not that Gilbert's clean, but I mean, if you're a comic at the top of your game, Disney's the top of the line. Once you got that one under your resume, I don't know, you're selling out
Oh
the
my
big places,
gosh,
I
you're
would
right,
imagine.
Dennis.
But let's
Yeah.
see,
I was so
2015, he did Fluffy Breaks Even on Fuse, which is an online thing. 2017, he renamed it to Fluffy's Food Adventure. And 2019, he played a teacher on Netflix, Mr. Iglesias. Now, you're not a TV person, but what do you think of all this online stuff taking over? I mean, Netflix seems to be the new mecca for comedy. I heard Eddie Murphy just signed on to do his comedy specials on Netflix. He's going to be doing the new Beverly Hills Cop movie on Netflix. Do you think TV is going to be a thing of the past in comedy, or?
well. I even myself, I only have basic cable just to have internet.
Right.
So I use my boyfriend's Netflix account. I do feel like people are. It's like Amazon. The competition is worldwide now, so there's more options available. So it needs to be more singular to suit the individual's wants and needs.
Right.
So yeah,
I see a lot of
I do feel like
the new Karate Kid, they went to YouTube, the Mandalorian, the new Star Wars thing, they went to Disney, and you can't even watch it on TV. They're forcing you to go online.
But I honestly feel, Dennis, and I'm not sure where I heard this or exactly how I assimilated this information, but I do listen to a lot of different things in my commutes on the way in. But from what I understand, they're pushing us in different directions, but really it's all getting umbrellaed under one huge monopoly.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's the
can't
same people
remember
making
if
money
there were.
a different way, right?
No, yeah, not the game. A monopoly in business refers to, like, there's only
No, I
one cable
understand what you're
company in
saying,
my
but
area.
I'm
That's
saying
a
it's the same
monopoly on
people getting
area.
rich. They're just finding a different way to get rich off of you rather than TV.
Uh-huh.
It's the internet, but
Exactly.
it's all the same
Yeah,
monopoly
so
of people, right?
I would be curious to know, where does Disney fall? Where does Netflix fall? Like, who's the umbrella above
Right.
those? Do you know
But
what
I
I
think
mean?
in a
Like, I
few
think they're
years,
just slicing up the pie differently, but it's still the same pie we're eating.
TVs are going to be gone. I think these kids are watching everything on their cell phones, on their tablets, on their computers. I think 10 years from now, I think TVs are going to be like an antique thing they don't even use. But
Yeah, well,
anyway,
my bonus son introduced me to different podcasts, and almost every Sunday morning breakfast, we're watching. I wish I could remember the names of them, but they're like cartoonists. That's one. The other one is like short horror stories. The other one is 100. What is his name? It's like 100 facts, and he does like 100 facts, and you like feel smarter after listening to it. Your Daily Dose of Internet. That's another one that we kind of subscribe to.
well,
That's
now
really
you can listen to
enjoyable.
yourself on Funny Like a Clown podcast. See, so you got a new one, right?
Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan's got out. It's one of the most popular. And I listen to it regularly. It's like a killer podcast that he does. But I think the new thing, because you can listen to a podcast and dub with something else on your computer. It's not like TV where you have to watch it. I think that's why podcasts are taking off, because you can multitask while you listen to them. They don't need your full attention.
Yes, that, and if you can do it well without the visual, you're really doing something.
Absolutely. So let's see.
Yeah.
Gabriel Iglesias said some of the comedians that inspired him were Paul Rodriguez, Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams, and Bill Cosby. So obviously, Fluffy's one of the guys who inspired you. Is there anybody else who inspired you in comedy?
Well, it's so funny that you say that, because Bill Cosby was, to me, the above all supreme.
He was everybody's TV dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's just so freaking sad.
Yeah, I mean, you got to separate the man from the work, though. Yeah, we all laughed at his work to say he didn't. I mean, if you want to get into what he did, that's
such a talent and such a gift, and I just loved his storytelling. I loved his power in the pauses. I liked his presentation. I liked him as
he was
person,
a storyteller. He made you want to listen to him. He could tell a story good, right?
Just like Robin Williams. I still feel like I lost a dear friend.
Yeah, another one, Cleanest of the Clean, right there. Him and Robin, and so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he said, Gabriel even said himself, he prefers clean comedy. If that's what you listen to, that's what you're going to do. So, I mean, that's what you listen to growing up. He makes fun of his weight, calling himself fluffy and, all the levels. But on a serious note, at his biggest, he was 445 pounds, and his doctor actually gave him 2 years to live when he diagnosed him with type 2 diabetes.
Oh, no.
And, and they said he wasn't available for the stomach surgery because of touring on the road, that wouldn't allow him to heal up the way he would have. So finally, the shock of only having 2 years to live made him watch what he eat and start doing some yoga and stuff. He lost 100 pounds, which, he is looking a lot thinner these days than he was.
That is impressive.
But, he said the reason for his weight, he thought he struggles from depression and alcoholism, which he attributes to burnout from being heavy touring. He's like on these heavy tours on the go, 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 go. Then all of a sudden you stop touring and got nothing to do. So, but why do you think that's such a big thing, depression and comedy? I mean, we just mentioned Robin Williams. There's a guy who hit his depression. Why do you think that is? I mean, the comics look to depression for an escape, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, from a personal, I've definitely had my struggles with depression, but I was the generation of you pull up your big girl panties and you deal with it, and or it doesn't exist, it's not real.
Right. We grew up in a different generation than today's kids, that's for sure. But
my theory though is that some of us are just wired differently, and it's the way our brains work, and it allows us to see and present different scenarios, different stories, to see it a little twisted or a little off, and that makes it funny. And sometimes from the deepest, darkest tragedies comes the greatest, most fantastic release of laughter.
Now, have you ever found comedy to help you with your depression?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. You know, I don't know if I ever told you my story, Dennis, but I always, ever since I was a little girl, all I wanted to do was be a comedian. But I was incredibly terrified of public speaking, like just terrified. Like I did it as a child. I was called to the chalkboard. I literally blacked out, lost a year of my life, and woke up in the 4th grade. And I spoke publicly another time. And the physical response was so great that, like, I could hear my heart beat in my ears, and my face red, my nose was running, my eyes started to water, and the judge reduced my fine. So it was worth it. But when I made the decision to become a comedian, it was because I had such a life-altering event that happened to me that I was like, I have to do this. I have to do this, because I don't want to be on my deathbed and say, why didn't I try?
Look back and regret, right?
Yeah.
It's better to try and fail than to never try, right?
Exactly. So I joined Toastmasters, I took a class, and I signed up with Athena's Home Novelties to sell sex toys. My thinking was speaking in small groups, practice, practice, practice. I told my therapist, and he thought the whole idea was a bad idea. And I looked at him and I said, it's like going up a ladder.
You got to start somewhere,
you put
right?
your hand on a rung, and you take a step up, and then you do the next rung, and it's another step up, and it's rungs in a ladder. And if I just keep taking tiny steps to the top, eventually I will arrive.
You get there, sure.
And I'm so glad I fired him and continued on my journey. I love comedy. I love the community that we have. I love the people. When I go to do a show, I don't feel like I'm going to work. I feel like I'm home.
Yeah, I've met some of the greatest people in my life doing comedy, but on the other side of that, I've met some of the biggest pricks in my life doing comedy. So, well, most of the people, it is one big family. There's a few knuckleheads that really ruin it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's true. But it's the 80-20 rule, honey. Yeah. It's like gravity.
The good ones 80%. Like us stick together, right?
Yep, 80%. You book 10 and only 8 show up. It's 80-20.
There you go. So let's see. I'm going to name off the specials that Fluffy did here. His first one was, let's see, Hot and Fluffy. Then he did I'm Not Fat, I'm Fluffy. Then he did Aloha Fluffy. Then he did I'm Sorry for What I Said While I Was Hungry. And finally he did One Show Fits All. And you said what? Aloha Funny was your favorite one when he was over in Hawaii there, right?
Well, my favorite was it Saudi Arabia he went to?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Hawaii, because...
Well, I don't think they didn't show that they didn't film it out there, did they, in Saudi Arabia? He just went out there and performed.
No,
he talked about it, right. One of his specials he told, the story that he told. That was your favorite story that he told, yeah.
Yeah.
I did one.
You have to stay with a prince.
It was so off. Have you ever had somebody just do something so off? It was like, that's why my favorite's Sam Kinison, because he talked about subjects like, oh my God, you're not supposed to talk about that, and he made it so funny. But Fluffy did one story, I don't know if you ever heard it, where he was driving through some town and he saw on a billboard one of the comedians was performing. So like, we're going to mess with him. And he went to the store, they were going to drop him off a racist gift basket at the hotel he was at.
Yes.
The story from that had me in tears. I was listening to him, and he's asking the lady at the desk, "Can you deliver the racist big gift basket?" He's like, "Oh no, you did not just ask me to do that. No, you did not. Here, I'll give you $50. I'm gonna do it, but you're still going to hell." I was like, just the way he told the story was perfect. But you meet people like that. All right, we're getting close to the end of the podcast here, but I end off when I have a guest. I end off every episode with 3 questions of trivia. So you ready for 3 questions about Fluffy trivia?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, I'll tell you, before we start, nobody's ever gone 3 for 3. Very few people have gone 2 for 3. Most get 1 or most get none. So if you don't do too good, it's more informative even if you don't do well, all right? Let's give it a go.
I'm probably not going to do well with
I know, nobody does, but it's informative anyway. But you think you know a person till they hit you with trivia. All right, let's see. What cartoon that we watched as kids that's still around now did he voice with Jonathan Winters?
Oh, is it a Christmas special? Crap, I feel like it's a Christmas special with Jonathan Winters. Am I right about the Christmas special?
No.
Then forget it.
No, I didn't even know this one until I did a podcast about Jonathan Winters, and all the times I watched it as a kid, I had no idea it was him, but it was the Smurfs. He actually voiced one of the Smurfs.
No kidding.
And I had no idea. Jonathan Winters, he was the voice of Papa Smurf.
I did know that.
You know, I had no. All the times I watched the Smurf as a kid, I had no idea it was Jonathan Winters. Even in the movies they did, he did it. Yeah. They dedicated one of the Smurf movies to Jonathan Winters after he passed away, but Fluffy did. He voiced one of the Smurfs, so who knew that? All right, let's see.
That is so cool.
All right, he's known for his Hawaiian T-shirts, Gabriel Iglesias, because he said, I guess he'd rather look Hawaiian than Mexican or something was his joke. Now, would you say he owns over 1,000 Hawaiian shirts or under 1,000 Hawaiian shirts? You got 50-50 on this one. Over 1,000 Hawaiian shirts or under?
I feel like over 1,000 Hawaiian shirts.
It's under. He had 700 plus, which is still ridiculous. Why would you need 700 plus Hawaiian shirts? I mean, you couldn't possibly wear them all in your lifetime, could you? I mean,
well, you could wear one a day for 2.5 years and just toss them out.
I guess, yeah. Well, yeah, 365 days, one day a year, sure. That's a lot of shirts. So I don't own 700 shirts. I don't know. That's a lot of shirts.
I think in the future, Dennis, we're going to have disposable clothes. At the end of the day, you take a pee, you take your shirt off, you flush it all down the toilet.
Oh, there's an idea. That's $1 million idea. You gotta patent that right there. All right. All right, let's get to the.
Rains, honey, then you're naked.
We'll get to the last one, and we'll see if he can go 1 for 3 here. All right. At behest of his accountants, he was told to invest some money into something, and he chose this thing to invest his money by the advice of Jay Leno. What did he invest his money in? Keep in mind, Jay Leno advised him to invest it in this.
I think it's to invest in himself and his brand, but I don't know.
Nope, Jay Leno advised him to invest in antique cars. Because you ever see Jay Leno? He has Jay Leno's Garage, where he shows all his antique cars he has.
Oh, no kidding.
So he said, well, antique cars, they never go down in value. He's like, you get to drive them and have fun while you own them, and then when you sell them, they go up in value. So there's no way to lose. And I saw Gabriel, he owned like something like 1,000 Volkswagen buses he had in a big garage or something. But I mean, each one was worth. That was how you get around the taxes. You have to invest your money into something. But anyway, all right.
Seriously, really, Dennis?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah, that's why Jay Leno. You got to invest in something to avoid the taxes. And antique cars are because like the stock market, you can lose money in the stock market. But I mean, a car is a physical item, so you're not going to lose money if you invest in those. But anyway.
But still, when you sell them, you still have to. You still gotta pay your taxes.
You gotta pay, yeah, you're not getting around the government, but I mean, those accountants, they know how to get around, write-offs or whatever. I mean, I don't know, taking care of the cars or housing them or whatever might be a tax deduction, because you have to take care of them. I don't know, anyway. We're getting toward...
You and I need to start hanging out with different people and getting better advice.
I guess so. We need to know what's going on with our money here for sure, but... Yeah. All right, getting at the end of the episode, before we go, I'll give you the stage here. Being a fan of Gabriel Iglesias, what would you want other people to know about him?
Oh, I feel like I've said it all. He's very versatile. He has the gift of voices. His storytelling, it leads you in. I love how he impersonates his mom because I impersonate my dad. He educates as well as conversates and makes people laugh all at the same time. He's clean, which I honor above all else because you don't have to be gross to get a laugh. I think it's the platform that if a lot of comedians took, it would raise the level of comedy across the board. And plus I just enjoy listening to him. Like I said, I do it on my car ride. That's my commute. And it's incredibly enjoyable. And I don't even get the visual aid of him. So I don't even get the full experience, and still I laugh out loud. So even if you just listen in, you know you're going to enjoy the ride.
One of those guys you can just listen to forever, and it's not even work. You just, the time passes quicker than you think because you enjoy doing it, right?
Exactly.
He
like
has the gift of storytelling. Well, Alana, I want to thank you for being on Funny Like a Clown podcast, and
Dennis, thank you for having me.
It's been too long.
Every time I get to hang out with you or do something with you, I still remember their Cooking with Comedy. That was one of the most enjoyable experiences I have ever had. That was fun.
I try to keep things fun. Well, my wish in life was everybody knew how tough it was cooking in a TV studio rather than the kitchen. We had to wing some stuff, but we got the job done anyway. But now you've been on the Cooking Show, you've been on Funny Like a Clown podcast, and I thank you for both. And we got to catch up soon. It's been too long, girl. I miss you.
I would love that. Right back at you, Dennis. Let's go schedule some dates.
All right. Thanks for calling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care, hon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Alana Sesko, New Hampshire's Princess Goddess, chiming me in on Gabriel Iglesias. And, there's few storytellers, first off, it's tough to work clean. Okay, I've tried working clean, and even when I try to work clean, I get dirty. So I admire the people who can do it. And, there's some people can tell stories. She brought up Bill Cosby. There's a guy who told stories, and you want just the way they tell a story. It don't have to be clean. It don't have to be funny. It don't have to be dirty. You don't have to laugh, but you can tell a story in a way you make it so interesting that you want to listen. And that's what he's able to do. And storied career, and hopefully many years of laughter left to come. All right, this is Funny Like a Clown podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth. Until next time, keep laughing because, as you know, laughter is the best medicine. Good night.